Yo, what's going on, guys? My name is Cameron Linares, the Big Money Barber, and today we are going to talk about my number one tip to opening a barbershop. Whether or not it's your first barbershop or you're opening another barbershop, this is my number one tip. And I'm going to be real honest with you right off the bat, right off the rip. This is going to probably, some people aren't going to want to hear this, but it's the truth. And it's the truth that I wish someone would have exposed to me before I opened my very first barbershop. So we could go into things like, how to set up your LLC, how to get a loan, how to come up with funding, how to find a location, where to put your barbershop, how many chairs should be in it, how many square foot should it be, how should you compensate your barbers, all these things, right? But there's something you should be asking yourself before you think about any of those things. And that is, if you've already decided, I want to open a barbershop, you need to decide, what type of barbershop am I going to open? Because most barbers don't ask themselves this question. And a lot of times barbers go into barbershop ownership thinking that it's going to be easier than it is. And they think that just because they're a great barber, they're going to be a great barbershop owner. And let me tell you something right now. Let's get this straight. Being a barber and being a barbershop owner are two totally separate things. They're two totally separate skills. Just because you're a great barber doesn't mean you're going to be a great businessman or businesswoman, and vice versa. Sometimes you can be a great businessman but not be that good of a barber, and that's cool too. It doesn't matter. All you need to know is that those two things are two separate things. Being great at cutting hair is not going to mean you're a great business owner. So you need to decide, what type of barbershop am I going to open? Do I want to open a barbershop just so I don't have to pay booth rent anymore? I want to fill the shop with barbers so that they're paying my bills and I get to keep all of the money I make from providing services. Or do you want to open a barbershop with profitability in mind? I want to open this barbershop, fill it full of barbers so that I can continue to make money even when I don't cut hair. Because those two are very different things, and those two require two totally different business structures. For example, most first-time barbershop owners and most barbershop owners in general, I'm talking probably 90% plus, maybe 95% plus, open with the booth rent model, right? It's the most common model in our industry, and I personally think that it's a terrible model. It's archaic. The fact that it still exists proves just how little most barbershop owners know about business. What's the number one reason why we go into business? The number one reason why we go into business is to make money, right? So if I have 5 chairs and I'm charging $250 a week for booth rent, that's $1,000 a month each. All right, maximum with every single chair full. Oh, got to minus my chair, so 4 chairs. Now, with every single chair full all the time, every week, my maximum amount of income is $4,000 a month. So tell me another business other than a beauty pro business or tattooing that sets themselves up in such a way that they can maximize their earning, or that they have a cap on their earning potential, a maximum. No matter how hard I work, no matter how much I'm here, I'm only making $4,000 no matter what. So that's what happens when you set yourself up with the booth rent model, is you cap yourself. You kneecap yourself because you have no room to scale. You have no room to grow. If you ever decide that, hey, you know what? I want to make a little bit more money. I'm going to raise booth rent by 25 bucks a week, 50 bucks a week. You risk having a full-on walkout and losing every one of your barbers. And now, guess what happens? You're either A, stuck, not able to raise your booth rent because you're going to lose every employee you have, or B, you can't do it, or you're just stuck at the price you have. And then the other option is a commission-based barbershop. And every time I talk about commission-based barbershop, all these barbers and all these barbershop owners want to talk a bunch of smack about it, but they really don't know what they're talking about. Right now, I have a thriving barbershop with 8 barbers that are extremely successful in 6 chairs. It doesn't matter that they pay a commission. They're still making more money in our area than 90% of barbers. There are very few barbers that don't work for me that are earning six figures in my area. So a majority of the six-figure barbers in our town and surrounding area work for me, and they're all on commission. Just because your commission doesn't mean you can't make a killing. And what having a commission barbershop has done for me is it allows me to make more than that capped amount of money so that I can reinvest into training my team, sending them to hair shows, improving the barbershop, improving all these things, investing in marketing, making sure that they're busy. I'm spending the marketing money. They don't have to. When you open a booth rent with the booth rent model, your amount of money you can earn is already so small. You don't have the extra margin to spend on all these other things that you need to be spending money on, like marketing, for example. But it's also not your responsibility because they just pay rent, right? They just pay rent, right? Which is fine. So you just need to decide which model you want to have, which one is more important to you, which one aligns with the goals that you want. I definitely recommend, obviously, I think you know by now that I'm biased, and I recommend never opening a booth rent shop. That's what I did when I first started because nobody told me not to, and I didn't realize that there were better options. And some people, when you talk about commission, they get scared like, I won't be able to hire barbers. Barbers won't work for commission. That's absolutely not true. Absolutely not true. I have 8 barbers and 6 chairs right now working for me for commission, and they're all thriving and they're all killing it. The difference is, the thing is me and my wife have just created an environment that attracts good barbers and attracts good people because it's such a great place to work. So you can have a commission-based barbershop and get really good barbers as long as you have a really good culture. So my number one tip to you is, before you go into finding a location, finding a space, trying to figure out how to come up with the money, figure out the type of barbershop that you want to have. Are you going to be booth rent or are you going to be commission? Because these two things, or that structure, will determine where you should open, how much money you should be spending on rent. You know, okay, if I'm looking, for example, if I have a space in mind, it's 1,000 square foot space, it's $3,000 a month because it's in a great shopping center. How many chairs can I fit in 1,000 square foot space? Maybe 5, maybe 6. Okay, so $3,000 a month for rent. The maximum amount of money I can get out of this place for booth rent is probably $5,000. All right, well, that leaves me with only $2,000 per month left over to pay all the other bills. And that's if every single chair is full, and that's if they pay rent every single week, right? So you have to do all this math before you even look for a location. Do not buy a location without doing the math and determining how many chairs you need at what price to cover the bills and have a little extra left over for you. Otherwise, what happens is you end up just buying yourself a way more difficult job. You end up not making any more money, and now you're in charge of a bunch of people, and you've doubled your workload. And this is why most barbers and most barbershop owners end up not liking being a barbershop owner. And it's also why they end up being bad owners, because they become jaded. They don't get treated well. You know, they're bitter because they're doing all this extra work and they're not making the extra money. Their barbers are complaining. They don't want to hear the complaining. It's just this vicious cycle that you can really easily get caught in. So, like I said, number one tip, before you even think about LLC, before you even think about getting money, before you even look for a location, decide the type of barbershop you want to open, because that should help you make every single decision after, or that goes along with the process. If I know that I'm opening this type of shop, I need to meet these requirements. Now that I have the requirements laid out, I can start looking for places that fit these requirements. All right, guys. So that is my number one tip to opening a barbershop. Do not open a barbershop without considering this first. I promise you, it will not end well. Peace out.